Evening, everyone. Thank you for being here at this meeting of the Sonoma County Junior College Board of Trustees. I'm calling this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance here in person and virtually. We will begin, as we always do, with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we gather at Santa Rosa Junior College on the territorial traditional land of the Pomo people in Santa Rosa and the Coast Miwok people in Petaluma, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. As a reminder, public comment will be allowed at the appropriate time. For those wishing to make public comment, please pick up a yellow comment card and bring it to the front desk to Zara. For those online, you'll be invited to raise your hand at the appropriate time to provide your comment. That brings us to item B1, announcement of reportable actions from closed session. There are none. Item B2 is approval of the open session agenda. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? All right, any discussion or public comment? Seeing none, all those, student trustee Clark, we'll start with you with your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The agenda is approved. Next to item B3, approval of our regular meeting minutes from our last regular meeting. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Any public comment or board members wishing to comment? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstains? The minutes are approved. That takes us to item B4, our employee of the month for October 2025. That presentation was made last Tuesday, but definitely want to provide another opportunity to thank and congratulate our honoree Fifi Fitway for her service to the district, and definitely great to see her last Tuesday accept the award. That brings us to item B5, public comments. As a reminder, each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board, up to 20 minutes maximum per subject. Do we have any comment cards here? Any public comment here in the room on items not on the agenda? Any public comment online? Seeing none. Yes. Marianne Clary, please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, esteemed board members and community. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Marianne Clara and I work at Roseland. Here at SRJC, we all value equity, integrity, transparency, and accountability. These are not just words. They are the foundation of how we treat one another and how we serve our students. A healthy workplace depends on employees feeling safe to speak up and confident that fairness and due process are upheld. Unfortunately, my experience has reflected the opposite. After raising concerns about management practices, I was met not with dialogue or problem solving, but with a disciplinary action I believe was without merit, and in my opinion, contained factual inaccuracies and lacked the required supporting documentation. The process caused severe stress, including a panic attack and 5 weeks of medical leave, during which I received an email from leadership with notes from the disciplinary action meeting. As I understand it, this communication may be in conflict with the Family and Medical Leave Act and also the California Family Rights Act. In June, my staff evaluation repeated many of the same unsupported claims. I submitted a formal appeal on July 14th and followed up with multiple times with leaderships. As of today, I have not received an invite to the staff evaluation review meeting required within 10 days, according to the union contract, nor a meaningful response to my rebuttal to the disciplinary action that I had submitted on June 26. In my view, this lack of follow-through reflects a breakdown in due process and accountability. I'm not alone. My colleagues who have given me permission to mention this have described similar stress, fear, and treatment. When employees are scared to speak up, when feedback is not addressed effectively, and when ethical standards aren't consistently applied, it inevitably erodes trust and morale. Skilled staff leave, and institutional effectiveness declines, ultimately impacting both students and staff. I'm also concerned that management duties seem to have been reassigned in ways that appear to obscure issues. In addition, there also seems to be inconsistencies regarding the allocation of salary resources, raising questions among staff about fairness, transparency, and compliance. What does it say about our institutional values when those who voice concerns face consequences, while leadership issues remain seemingly unresolved or not held to the same scrutiny? I respectfully ask the board to look closely at the culture that allows these conditions to persist. I would welcome the leadership that empowers and supports staff, that models integrity and professionalism, that provides
That is 3
clear,
minutes. Thank
consistent
you.
guidance, and above all, holds everyone to the same standard. Thank you for your time and commitment to fostering a healthier, more equitable workplace for all. If needed, I can provide documentation supporting my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment online? No? Then we will close public comment and move on to item B6, a bond feasibility poll result presentation. And we will turn it over to VP Kate Jolly.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I have a couple presenters joining me via Zoom as well. Oop. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, President Siobhan, members of the board, and college community. It is my pleasure to be here today alongside a couple of my colleagues online. We're just getting the right one. No. So while we're getting that together, so I've got joining me today, I've got Lucia Del Popo from FM3 and Barry Barnes from Team Civics. We also have Nick Hewer, who serves as our bond counsel from Stradling, Yoka, Carlson and Routh, and then Frank Vega with Stiefel, who serves as one of our underwriter partners. Here we go. Thank you. So we are here this evening to share the findings from our recent bond feasibility survey, which assessed community awareness and potential support for a future general obligation bond measure in November of 2026. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Lucia, who will walk us through the results, and afterwards we'll be happy to answer any questions and discuss possible next steps.
Thank you so much, Kate, and good afternoon, members of the board. As Kate mentioned, it's my pleasure to walk through the findings of the survey that we conducted. Before we dive into the actual findings, I just want to walk through quickly on this slide our methodology and our approach. So we spoke to over 600 likely November 2026 voters. This was a random sample survey, so the margin of error on the data is 4%. You'll see in a few places where we split sampled things or asked a half sample, and in those cases, the margin of error is 5.7%. The survey was conducted from August 13th to 19th, and it was available online and via phone. Phone outreach was done to telephones on wireless and landlines, and then the online outreach was done via email and text message, and it was done in English and in Spanish. You'll notice in a few places in this slide deck, we have some comparisons to earlier research that our firm did on behalf of the district. That was in 2001 and 2014. So diving in on the next slide, we'll see some kind of attitude. We have some attitudinal questions, and you'll see some data about how folks feel about the college and their attitudes towards community colleges in general. So you'll see on this slide, we asked folks how they feel about Santa Rosa Junior College, if they view it favorably or unfavorably. And then as benchmarks, we also asked about the UC system and the CSU system. And what we saw was that there was really broad support for the college overall. It was 83% favorable to 7% unfavorable. The UC system was 70% favorable to 17% unfavorable. And the CSU system was 67% to 19%. So overall, Santa Rosa Junior College is viewed even more favorably than kind of the flagship universities of the state. And as we move on, we also asked a series of statements about the college, and we asked folks if these were accurate or inaccurate. And as you can see, wide majorities agreed that the SRJC is a valuable resource for the community to provide training for residents looking for higher paying or skilled jobs. 85% felt this was an accurate statement. 85% also said it was accurate that SRJC provides the community with an affordable and accessible local alternative to four-year universities. More than 3/4 said SRJC does a good job of serving people in the area. And 72% said it does a good job of preparing students to transfer for four-year university. So broadly seen as an asset and an important role in job training and affordability in the community. So then on the next slide here, you'll see we asked folks if there was, if they perceived a need for additional funding for the college. And you'll see a comparison to 2014 here. So in 2014, 3/4 of voters told us they saw at least some need for additional funding for the college. Whereas in 2025, 52% told us that there was at least some need. Only 20% saw a great need. We did see that 20% said they felt there was only a little or no real need, and more than 1/4 were uncertain. So what I see when I see this slide is an opportunity to kind of inform the community of the need, and just the fact that right now folks are not really, you know, a majority are aware of the need, but there isn't quite a high awareness of the intensity of the need for the college. So then moving to the next slide, we did also ask folks about what are the biggest problems facing the community, and we asked them to rank these in terms of extremely serious, very serious, somewhat serious, or not too serious. And you'll see them ranked here on the right by the percentage who said each of these problems was extremely or very serious. And this can be really helpful as a question to kind of understand what is the mood of the community and where do the problems that the college kind of helps address and the role it plays in the community, how does it fit into kind of the broader things that folks are concerned about? And we do see that there's really high level of concern about the cost of living. 88% say this is an extremely or very serious problem. This is not unique to the district. This is the top problem in the state and in many individual communities right now. So there is an acute concern about cost of living right now, and we do see a majority saying this is an extremely serious problem. As part of that, we see cost of healthcare being something that folks are highly concerned about, as well as homelessness. 2/3, though, at the same time, are worried about state budget cuts that reduce the money available for education. And 62% also say student loan debt is an extremely or very serious problem. We do see a majority at the same time say they are worried about the amount they're paying in state and local taxes, and 55% worried about waste and inefficiency in local government. And finally, we do see just over half worried about the challenges facing local veterans as they transition back after tours overseas. And then on the next slide here, you'll see the ballot language that we tested. And the way we do this is we test this quite early in the survey, and we test it in the 75-word format, including some of the awkward fiscal language that just has to be there when this goes on the ballot. And you'll see there's a split sample C and a split sample D. And what that means is that half of the survey sample or respondents heard a $970 million bond, and the other half heard an $830 million bond. And this was reviewed by the legal counsel and the bond counsel, and the goal here really is to test something that's very realistic, and, you know, if it tested well, could even go straight to the ballot in theory if the board decided to move forward eventually. And we'll see on the next slide, we did see that initial support was right at that threshold for passage. So we have a 55% threshold for passage, and so initial support is at 56%. That's with a 4-point margin of error. So essentially what that means is that range is, you know, 52 to 60% range of support. So it is quite close to that 55% threshold. What is encouraging here is that there wasn't a lot of sensitivity to the size of the bond. Between 830 and 970 million, we saw pretty much identical levels of support, or statistically identical levels of support. So then on the next slide here, you'll see some of the top areas for investment. So we asked folks about a series of potential elements that could be included in the measure, and we asked them to rank them in terms of importance, whether they're extremely important, very important, somewhat important, or not important. And they're ranked here by the percentage who said each was extremely or very important. And we saw really broad importance placed on providing career technical education, particularly when we mentioned the fields of engineering, auto mechanics, building trades. 3/4 said it was extremely or very important to attract and retain high quality faculty. 72% thought it was important to expand career tech pathways to high demand jobs. 70% felt it was extremely or very important to prepare students to transfer to four-year colleges or universities. 2/3 said expanding training for firefighters, first responders, and nurses. 68% felt like the core repair of fixing leaky roofs was highly important. And then ensuring facilities meet earthquake and fire safety codes was 65% very important. So overall, what we see here is career technical training, transfer to four-year universities, and then some of these core repairs really jumped out as top tier priorities as well. And then you'll see on the next slide, what we did in the survey was we asked that initial 75-word question. We asked some questions again about their attitudes towards the district and the various spending priorities. And then we also provided a series of arguments or educational statements informing them why this is needed. And then we re-asked support. And then what we did is the same on the critical side and asked kind of critical arguments, things that, might come up as reasons for folks might want to vote no. And what we saw was that there was some sensitivity overall. We did see kind of the definitely yes intensifying a little bit as folks learned more. But we peak at 58%, so still within that margin of error of that 55% threshold, and then after negatives just below. So it really is close to that 55% threshold throughout the survey. What was really encouraging, as we'll see on the next slide, is that when we presented them with individual statements, a number of them were highly convincing. Typically, what we look for in our industry is messages that we see being impactful are ones that around 40% of voters tell us are very convincing. And as you can see on this slide, there are 4 messages that really exceed that threshold and 1 that's very close. The most convincing messages really focused on the fact that the cost of attending university has really skyrocketed, and this kind of continues to provide and protect a high quality, affordable option. That we need to protect local funding in the face of federal and state budget cuts. As you'll recall, that was one of the things that folks told us was a very serious problem. We do see 2 statements, both focused on kind of local job training and preparing folks for high demand, good jobs. Were also highly convincing. And then a message centered on kind of infrastructure repairs was also among the most convincing. And so then, as you can see on this slide, we tested a series of messages. Their kind of shorthand titles are there on the left, and you can see the very and somewhat convincing combined. And overall, majorities found all of the messages we tested convincing, but the ones that I just flagged are kind of in that top tier of really eliciting the most intensity and really resonating strongly in the community. So just to kind of quickly wrap it up on the next slide here, what we see when we see this data is that the college is really well-liked, viewed highly favorably in the community, and folks really do value the role of the college in preparing folks for careers and providing an affordable alternative to four-year universities. But we are seeing kind of a lower level of awareness of the need relative to where the district was in 2014. And so with that, in that context, we're kind of close to that 55% threshold, especially coupled with kind of the concern about high cost of living and taxes. I think that that's also playing a role in why folks are kind of really close to that threshold. We do see some, as I just noticed, or I just flagged and walked through, some really intense reactions and positive reactions to that supportive statements, particularly again about affordability, locally controlled funding, and job training. And aligned with that, the things that folks told us were the most important priorities, really closely aligned with the things that they resonated with in the messaging. So I think overall right now, these results do show tentative support. They do show kind of a lot of positive support in the community for the college and some favorable indicators, but there is a need to kind of elevate the urgency and kind of inform folks of the need that exists for the college. I'll stop there and pass it back to Kate.
Thank you. Do you have any questions on the poll itself or? Yes.
I was just wondering if 612 people completed the survey,
Yes, yeah, they're only included in the sample if they answer
if they
every
completed.
question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other board members with questions on that? Trustee Bricker.
Yeah, I saw a couple places that said survey and it said interview. Can you confirm, was this anonymous surveys that they did online or was it interviews that they did with an interviewer?
It was both. They did, so half the sample roughly did the interviews via phone and the other half did them online, but they were, regardless of how folks took the survey, they were all coming from the voter registration files, the contact information.
So they were, when you say they were doing them online, was it with a person or was it, and I promise there's a reason I'm asking this question, was it with a person or was it like an anonymous, they were just answering questions, checking boxes? online?
No, so it is both. So the online survey gets distributed two ways, right? One is via email and one is via text message. The text message one is optimized for smartphone. And yeah, someone just can take it at their own pace
Okay.
going through, and same with the online, the email version.
Okay. Yeah, my reason for asking is just like, because what we're finding is the results are right at that threshold. My concern, and I guess my question for you all is really, how concerned should we be with like social desirability bias, right? Like the idea that people might be more affirmative when they're interviewing with somebody and talking to somebody than they would be in a completely anonymous circumstance, which would be the circumstance in which they're voting. Right. And so it sounds like with the online interviews, it's probably less of an issue, but I'm just wondering if that's something that you're factoring in when you're talking about the sampling error or like what you would advise with that concern.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a really astute question. I will say that's part of why we aim for kind of a 50-50 balance of online and phone interviews, because sometimes there are certain demographic traits that lead people to be more comfortable doing one versus the other. But sometimes there are just kind of some intangibles, right? Like what you said, to some extent, some folks may experience some desirability bias. That said, so that's part of why we take that approach. And that said, I will say the interviewers are professionally trained and they do kind of just read the script, and the questions are the same as the ones that are online. So there is no kind of pressure placed on the respondent in that sense. But yeah, that's obviously kind of one of the reasons that it's important to kind of do multimodal research.
Thank you.
Yeah, Trustee Battenfeld.
I also, so my question is, so do we know anything about the demographics?
Oh, your microphone's not on. Appears not to be working. Trustee.
So do we know at all, or is this something we would have to look at? Like of the 600 folks, what do we know the demographic? Older people more likely to say this rather than
It was a little difficult to hear. I don't know if someone who has access to a microphone could repeat the question or.
Lucia, it was about the demographics of those that we did the interviews with. We do have a lot of that data. There is some of it, we can provide it, that will also guide kind of next steps if we decide to move forward, because I don't know, Lucia or Barry, if you want to talk more about it. I know this is your areas of expertise.
Yeah, I think before Barry talks a little bit about next steps, I can just clarify that the survey sample is representative of the likely November 2026 electorate.
And I think if I heard maybe a little bit of the question, I think was about how, if there was a difference with seniors or other groups, was that correct? That they were, that the question was about any breakdowns?
Yes.
Yeah, that is available as part of, Lucia, those are all the crosstabs. Those are definitely available for further analysis, but not part of this, consolidated presentation.
Yeah, okay. Because then the other thing it would be interesting to see, and I assume you have that too, is what are things that didn't resonate? I mean, you gave us the top messages, and what were things that were way low down on, oh, I'm not gonna support this.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. But this is a good presentation.
We have a significant amount of data from the
Okay, I
interview.
assume so. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
I don't have a question so much as a comment. I think it would be interesting to see at least some data around, or maybe it's just interesting to me around. I think if I remember right, there was about a 73% favorability rating for preparedness for transfer or for four-year universities. I think it would be interesting to see, I think that was like on the third slide. It'd be interesting to see if this was broken down by major. That would be interesting as a takeaway. I mean, 73% is good, but usually what we hear is that the college does a great job in terms of preparing students to transfer to four-year universities. I'd just be curious why only 72%, but anyway, I don't know if you guys collected data on that. I was just curious if it was done based on something like, major.
I don't believe we got into that level of granularity. Lucia, can you confirm?
We did not. I mean, I think we did see, as you saw some of the, in some of the kind of provisions and elements of the measure, there were definitely some kind of subject areas that popped up a little bit higher than others. I will say, I mean, to get 72% of folks in a community to agree on anything, to me, that's a wonderful rating, but I understand when where you're coming from, absolutely.
Trustee Fishman.
The more I was looking at the slide that had use the word need. Yes. Wait. Yeah. Great need, some need, a little need. And this was early on, right? And looking at 2014 versus 2025, those numbers, 39% thought it was great need in 2014 and only 20% in 25. It is, I don't know, doesn't sit well. Was there can they ask questions? They can't really ask questions when they're doing a survey. So need is not defined, right? Need is just need.
It's not. The question was the same both times though.
Both, right. Both, in 2014 and 2015. And did you find it?
I'm going to talk a little bit about this slide too, in the next steps piece of it. You've identified a pretty core important slide, but happy to answer more questions on it.
Okay, no, I'll leave it at that. I have.
No, you dialed in right on it. Barry, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So good evening, trustees and administration staff. Barry Barnes with Team Civics. And, as when we last met, I believe it was in May with the full team to talk about the feasibility study. And thank you, Lucia, for an excellent presentation. A big piece of this is to determine what your voters know, what they don't know, how they feel about the college, how they feel about a potential future measure. And I think, as was just identified, the slide that talks about the voter perception of a need, thank you for pulling that up, Kate. I think this is really the heart of the matter. So, our firm was proud to have worked on both the 2014 measure as well as the prior, I believe, 2004 Measure A. And it's been 11 years and voters are not, they're not as aware of the need right now as they were in 2014. And I think that one of the most telling numbers is the bottom one, the don't know, has gone up 11%. Voters just don't when asked, it's 11% higher now who voters who say, I just don't know. A little need has gone up. As you can tell there, it's also gone up by 12 points. So it's a combination of the two, but the drop of the great need of the 19%, basically half of that is people who just don't know, and half of it is which grew, and then half of it is some growth on those who say a little or no needs. So, you've had a lot of construction. You've had a lot of improvements. That doesn't mean that all the needs are addressed, but this is when public agencies and community colleges frequently look to informing the public, spending some time to help inform the voters about the need and both the good stuff, the good work you've done, but also about what what could be done to improve the college and its offerings for the community even further. For instance, I saw in the other slide Lucia went over where we talked about the most important element of the measure with the voters was providing career technical education in fields such as vocational engineering, welding, auto mechanics, and building trades. 78% extremely or very important, which we couldn't get 78% to agree on if the sky was blue today or not, right, Lucia? I mean, that's just crazy. So 78%. It's a little bit after that. Keep going. We're almost there. Keep going. This is it. Thanks. Oh, it was back to that last one. And so, that's an example of something that when you tell voters this could be a potential element of the measure, they're responding very positively, but it's quite possible they don't know that this is something that the college either A, already provides to the community, or B, could be strengthened. I remember all the way back to the 2004 measure where a big piece of this was people needed to know more about the firefighter training and the first responder training. And that was a big part of that communication. That's still strong, but it's actually not as strong as the vocational piece of it here. And so I think there's some identifiable messages that the voters really do respond to, but they're just not aware of it yet. And so, again, if the district was to choose to move forward with some sort of a community education information program, that we have some real identifiable messages that we think would resonate with the community and potentially solidify support for place and measure on the ballot.
Thank you, Barry.
Happy to answer other questions as well.
See any other board members with comments on this? From my perspective, looking at the survey results, it seems to me, and I'll open it up to both of our consultants too, but one is a certain ballot question was asked, right? And had you known the results that came from this survey, you would not have asked the same ballot question, correct? Like that would have been phrased differently. And so I think we can expect that the ballot question that was asked represents in some ways a floor, and that through refining that communication, there's that we would see a higher baseline of an improved, informed question. Is that fair to say, Barry?
I do think, just to the point that we were just talking about the vocational piece, I certainly would I'm sure we would highlight that in a follow-up ballot question, which, as we know from this number here, and that's not the only point. I mean, there are other messages here that do well, but yeah, the short answer is yes. That frequently the first ballot question that's asked in a survey is the baseline, and then through analysis of the results as well as what you hear from the community, that ballot question can be improved in future surveys.
Yeah, and then the second piece is the other part that you highlighted, which is that there's a lot of room for education, right? There's a lot of people that just don't understand. I think it's encouraging that the voters understand the value proposition that Santa Rosa Junior College offers to our community, and that's that first set of questions. And then there's a disconnect though between the value and then the need to sort of be able to continue to meet and provide that value proposition to the community. So, you know, in your experience with other community education, outreach activities, you know, I think it's safe to say that there's you know, some significant upside that can be done through you know, drawing that connection. Is that fair to say?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we've had clients in the past at all levels of government and including in Sonoma County or other community colleges who have been able to address some of the don't knows or some of the folks who are not yet informed and to strengthen some of that.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, you know, going to some of the questions we asked, the JC has, you know, some challenges with our state funding, with federal funding. And, you know, as we look at addressing that at the campus level, you know, I'm very cognizant of the existing backlog of deferred maintenance, our need for new capital expenses on instructional equipment, and, you know, how we're able to meet the needs both from a facility standpoint, but also if we don't have an ongoing funding source, which Measure H is tapped out. I mean, as we look into the, you know, 26, 27 budget year, there is nothing really that we're drawing on, right? And so to be able to pull from our general fund to cover those costs, there's going to be an impact in the classroom. There's going to be impact to our, you know, our faculty, our classified staff, to our students, to our community, and what we can offer, right? And it's going to force, you know, some tough choices that may limit options. And so, from my perspective, continuing to go down the road of seeing, is a bond viable? Is this something that the community will support? And, you know, what elements, you know, based on feedback from our community, from our employees, from our students, from our, you know, Sonoma County community, through the Board of Trustees, you know, what are to address is just a really critical exercise to undergo. And I really feel that, you know, this baseline, while, you know, it could always be better, is encouraging that there's, you know, that room for growth, and we're already, you know, right there. So from my perspective, you know, I would suggest directing staff to continue that evaluation, to continue that dialogue, to continue the outreach, and sort of put some more parameters too on what does this look like, right? Because also, as we're asking this survey, we haven't defined what this universe of needs are. I know we've broadcast to the community that there is a substantial unmet capital facilities need, but just in terms of you know, specific projects or specific types of projects and things that we can bring forward, I think there's a lot of room for that that'll provide more context and help inform, you know, whether at some point in the future we decide to you know, say go ahead with this. But in my mind, it would be a disservice not to go through the exercise of testing and doing that stakeholder engagement. So for my part, I would recommend that, and I'd turn to my colleagues on the board and see if I'm alone in that sentiment, or if we have other people that are feeling staff should continue to evaluate this.
Ezra, can I say something?
Trustee Fishman, please.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a thing that the chairman said. However, I think that there's another elephant in the room, and that's the political context in the world we live in. And I would like that also assessed. And look, what else is going to be on the ballot? If Prop 50 passes, there will be 3 hotly contested congressional races in our county. There's going to be lots of cities asking for sales tax, parcel taxes. And so I think we have to look in context as well. And I would hope that would be part of the assessment that I agree with you, but I think that context, I don't think anything, you said you had other data. I don't know if that's based on other questions that were asked and if those kinds of questions were asked, but we can't look at this just in isolation. We have to look at in the world we live in and what's going on and what's happening between now and 2026.
We agree. So the data that I referred to is additional questions that were asked during the poll. They don't relate to that. However, as a team, we have had some significant conversations around what else is coming, both in June and November. The team is very involved in many of those and aware of, I think, most. I don't know, Barry, if you want to touch on that at all.
Sure. You're right. None of us have a crystal ball in terms of what the political dynamic will be a year from now. I mean, essentially, if you were to do public outreach and engagement and then another survey, something the team has talked about, which would be sometime in the spring, would still allow the board to place it on the ballot for next November. And so as we sit here today, none of us can tell exactly what the political climate will be a year from today, or what measures will be on the ballot, or what turnout will be like. A follow-up survey following public information in April or May of next year, if Lucia, comes back and will be able to give us a read, we'll be at least closer. We'll be 6 months from the election instead of 12 months from the election at that point. In terms of other measures, you're right. There always are other measures on the ballot. From my experience doing this for 30 years, sometimes other measures have a negative impact. Sometimes they have a positive impact, and sometimes they don't have any impact at all. And I think some of that has to do with the type of measure. If there are multiple districts also doing general obligation bond measures, that could have an impact more than, say, a sales tax or a parcel tax or something else. But it's not impossible that multiple jurisdictions can pass. Last cycle in Napa, I had the city, the transportation agency went, and the school district went, and they all passed at over 55%. And Napa's significantly more conservative toward tax measures than Sonoma. So it's not impossible. It just has to do with kind of how things are lining up and where voter support is on the individual elements. But you're right. I mean, there are a lot of those questions that we can't answer today. We could have a better chance of answering in the spring. In the context of the November election, we'd have a better sense at that point of what else would be on the November election. But those are part of the unknowns that really can be best answered with future research.
So I'd like to kind of outline what possible next steps would be. If we get approval to keep moving down this road, we would spend the next few months doing some market outreach. We have a lot of data about where to focus, what to focus on. And then we would go out for another poll in late spring and bring those results back to you in May. And then we would come back in June if we were going to put a ballot or a measure on the ballot for November. We would do that at the June 26th meeting. So at this point, are we authorized to keep moving down this track and do some outreach and then come back to you in May? And I will, of course, keep you updated as we go along.
Any other thoughts or reaction from board members?
Yeah, I just, first of all, I agree with both what Trustee Shaban and Trustee Fishman said. And I mean, to me, it seems like we should pursue it even if we decided not to go for a bond. I mean, it sounds like we need to do more community engagement anyway. If a bunch of people in the community don't know about us or don't know what we do, then, I mean, I think we should be engaging it's a good thing for our college to engage the community and not just ask, and engage them in a way that's transparent. They know what we're doing. They know where our money's going. They know what we've done. They know what the need is, and we get feedback. And it's true engage. It's both. It's a two-way engagement. We're not just. But it seems like that's what some of these results show, and that maybe also be a reflection of our enrollment. And so it seems like it's a useful. It would support our college and our community to do that, to involve our community more and educate them more anyway. So.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? So do you have the feedback necessary?
I feel like I have the direction I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, trustee Bricker.
I just want to echo what others have said as well, but I also want to, like, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from this poll is really that we need to do a lot more education with our community about the need. And so I would say, as we're moving forward with this, I would start communicating about that now. That's going to take time to build that up. And I just wanted to add that comment.
Agree. Thank you.
Absolutely. Agreed. Well, that was a jam-packed informational item. I think it would be fair to take public comment on that too. Is there any public comment here in the room or online before we move on from this item? Seeing none, we do have one. Please go to the front and state your name for the record. You'll have, to that podium, the microphone will be turned on, and just state your name and any affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes on public comment.
Hi, my name is Diego Roman. I'm the president of the Political Science Club on Santa Rosa Junior College. I'm also a student government member. I personally believe any money that can go towards helping the college and the community is a good idea. Even if it doesn't get passed, at least you tried, and you tried to get the support from the public to do something good in the community. So I personally don't see any reason why not to advocate for this, or why not to put this on the ballot, especially in a year where there's going to be a lot of push for support for colleges, especially under the attack of the administration. I think looking for more funding and more support is extremely important in this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And were there any online comments? All right, we will move on now to item B7, monthly updates, starting with the college president's report with Dr. Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, colleagues, students, and community members. I want to begin my report today by thanking our colleagues here at the SRJC Petaluma campus for setting up our meeting space twice. Make a comment about that in just a minute. But I also want to congratulate our employee of the month, Fifi Fitwe. And so I'm so glad that last week we were able to hold that celebration. In reference to last week's meeting, as soon as the president's office realized there was a posting error for the October Board of Trustees meeting, the Board of Trustees canceled that meeting in order to ensure compliance with the Brown Act. We have since reviewed our posting procedures and made modifications in order to ensure that this will not happen again. I apologize for the inconvenience this may have caused our community and colleagues. You will notice in today's board packets a few new written communications. The president's report to the board provides an update on key activities since our last board meeting, including the president's address, strategic priorities, and upcoming district-wide events. There are several written updates for your information, including Industrial and Trade Technology Department and SRJC libraries. Additionally, the board briefs will replace what we previously called the district monthly updates. These board briefs will still go out the day after a board meeting, including any updates regarding any board policies you have approved during the meeting. Last week was Undocumented Student Success Week with a variety of engagement opportunities, from healing circles to chats with the SRJC District Police to the Yosimar Reyes event on Friday evening. I am grateful to the faculty, classified professionals, and managers who work collaboratively to provide learning and community building opportunities throughout the week. The Schoen Farm Festival was on October 11th. It was well attended, brought not only returning folks, but a lot of new community members and families. I enjoyed the last few hours with my youngest daughter. We rode the tractor hayride. We picked out 6 pumpkins because she thought we needed 6 of them, and pet the baby animals. I want to congratulate all who were part of the planning in that successful day. And also later that evening was the fall harvest celebration, where several wines from Schoen Farm label were given recognition, as well as best in county for our Schoen Farm olive oil. So go out and buy yours today. Last week, we had colleagues and tribal leaders held Indigenous Peoples' Day celebration on October 13th on the Santa Rosa campus. The rain did not deter the celebrations and opportunities for community gathering. My greatest gratitude to JD and all of the colleagues who supported the planning and work to make the event possible for our community. I'm still getting messages from community members saying that it was an impactful event. And just 2 days ago, right here on this campus, we celebrated LumaFest. It was full. It was filled with opportunity to learn about programs and services while also experiencing culturally rich programming. This family-friendly event brought hundreds of people onto the campus, and my greatest gratitude to the team for hosting it. And I want to close highlighting something for a faculty recognizing and highlighting a faculty member. So the Harold Mahoney Library Gallery here at SRJC Petaluma is presenting the SRJC Theater Arts Hollywood Costumes exhibit. It's on view from October 13th through April 10th, and this exhibit features costumes from SRJC theater productions and photographs of Hollywood costumes featured in the recent publication, The Costumes of Hollywood, Highlights from the Collection of Motion Picture Costume Design. Our faculty member, Colleen Scott Trevette, and Hollywood costume collector, Larry McQueen, were authors on this book. I had the privilege of meeting Colleen at Soup Fest a year and a half 2 years ago, where she was highlighting and sharing the beginnings of that work. So to be able to see and talk with a faculty member where they're in the process to then see the final product, I'm just incredibly proud and of the high level quality that we have with faculty and their research and their teaching and how they share that with community college students. I enjoyed seeing the exhibit this past weekend during LumaFest, and I invite you to stop by and check it out. The book is actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed looking at it. So with that, rest of the information is in the report. That concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Garcia. Next, I'll give the Ad Hoc Legislative Committee update. The Ad Hoc Legislative Committee met today immediately before this board meeting to discuss priorities for the remainder of the year and into next year with a focus on equity and advancing funding opportunities for students that will hopefully advance student success. So we continue to work on that and we'll be engaging with our legislative partners. That brings us to the bond update with Vice President Kate Jolly.
Okay, good evening again. President Shaban, members of the board, college community. I have a short update for you this month. So I'm going to start here in Petaluma with the Media Services IT and Tutorial Project. So we've received approval from DSA. They did add some scope to the project that related mostly fire life safety related. So we're working on options for the increased costs and assessing feasibility. So once the funds have been identified, we anticipate this project will occur in 2 phases, with the media portion in spring 2026 and the tutorial portion in fall 2026. Going up to Windsor for the fire tower, we're currently in design. We've submitted increment 1 plans to DSA, and we're working with the vendor engineers on phase 2 plans. We do anticipate we'll submit those by early spring, and we anticipate completion of the tower by December of 2026. In Santa Rosa, we've been working for the past year on improving the conditions for the team and facilities operations and the warehouse. As part of this, we've installed an insulated roll-up door to help keep the inside areas at a reasonable temperature level. For the Lunabis auto lift installation and the ADA upgrade project, so the lifts are mostly installed and powered. As part of the DSA review, we had to add an ADA compliant restroom. That work is still anticipated to be completed later this month into next. And we continue to encounter a couple complications around the lifts themselves. We're still waiting on some parts. We got some incorrect parts. And so this project continues on as it has for many, many years. So we have a change order and a resolution 1425 on the agenda for approval to 82,359 to RL Builders. Most of this increase is related to unforeseen conditions during the installation that were under conditions that were under the floor, where we had to do hand excavation around some lines, and then had to add some slurry backfill for additional excavation areas, and as well as change up the concrete in the rebar. At Towser, we're now substantially complete. We continue to work through the punch list. We do have a change order and resolution on the agenda for approval for $68,864 to Alton Construction. Most of this increase is related to adding a guardrail at the exterior stairs and backup power for coiling doors, as adding some panic hardware and then thresholds at some various openings. This does bring our change order percentage to 10.8% for the project. As a reminder, we are seeing a large increase because of the added scope of the roof that we did, but we are carrying a 12% contingency on this project, so we're still within budget. And at SRJC Roseland, the Welcome Center is also moving along nicely. So the installation of the metal roof has begun, and we have completed the plaster on the exterior of the space. We've completed the steel and begun painting. So we're working on doors and hardware and begun the interior painting and sealing as well. So we have received DSA approval for the skylight finally, and are working with a vendor on a timeline to determine the final completion date. And then we have one agenda on the item today, or one item on the agenda today that has not already been highlighted, and that is a change order and resolution 1525 for approval for $18,660 to CWS Construction for the Bertolini Student Center and Career Services Project. This was to add an electrical outlet, some lights in the lobby, some data cabling that was not shown in the plans, as well as a window and a door. This brings the total change orders for the project to 20.09%. As a reminder, this project had a miscommunication early in the process around the finishes for the area that we needed to add in June of 2025, which resulted in our large change order percentage. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Any board members with questions? All right.
All right,
Thank you very much. Next, we're to the student trustee report with student trustee Clark.
Good afternoon, Board President Shaban, board members, President Garcia, and our college community. Thank you for the opportunity to update you all, and it's nice to see you all again. To any students listening, I hope you're doing well and taking care of yourself during midterms and through all the noise that's been circulating in our community. Please take a breath when you can and remember to check in on each other. Recently, I attended the Green Living Fair hosted by Sustainable SRJC, Zero Waste Sonoma, the Reuse Alliance, and our own SRJC Fashion Studies Department. I also had my first orientation and official meeting as the student director for the SRJC Foundation, and I'm looking forward to contributing to those conversations around equity, access, and student stories. My committees officially began last Friday, and on Thursday, I participated in a panel led by Leadership Santa Rosa with Dr. Garcia and Dr. Kruger from SSU on higher education. I wish I could have stayed for longer, but as most students have midterms going on right now, I had a midterm 5 minutes after our section ended. Regardless, I am really grateful for that opportunity, and I think it was really a valuable experience getting to advocate for the student experience and also being vulnerable with a room almost entirely full of strangers about my academic journey, especially after learning to navigate COVID through much trial and error. Next, I want to take a moment to speak about something deeply important, an issue that goes far beyond politics. This moment is to acknowledge a fellow student trustee, a colleague, and a person. His name is Christian Espinoza, and he asked for his story to be shared today. Chris is an undocumented student at San Bernardino Valley College who was recently deported while seeking asylum. He wasn't hiding or running, he was doing what we all do, showing up to serve, trying to build a better future through education and leadership. And a few weeks ago, he was taken out of the country. Even now, he's pushing to continue to serve as their student trustee from Mexico, still attending meetings, still speaking up for students. That kind of dedication to keep showing up when the system has literally pushed you out says everything about who he is and what he stands for. I've never met Chris in person, and I do not know him personally, but I've been in touch with him in the past few weeks, and even through text, you can feel how much he loves his community and how much he believes in the power of students to make change. It's heartbreaking because it shouldn't take that kind of resilience just to exist and follow your dreams where opportunity thrives. According to the 2025 Department of Homeland Security, an estimated 2 million individuals have been removed from the US, and a rough estimate of those being asylum seekers is around 470,000, with over 3.4 million more cases pending before immigration courts. Most of those stories will never reach the media. This is not a political issue, it's humanitarian at its core. It circles people who are integral parts of our classrooms, our campuses, our lives, and they're being torn from those spaces without warning. So I just want to say this clearly. I stand with Chris, I support him, and I ask everyone here to do the same, to keep him and others in his situation in your hearts and in your advocacy, so we can keep each other safe when systems fail us. If anyone would like to help directly, I have resources to help him stay afloat and continue his work while he fights his case, so please reach out. But more than anything, I want us to not look away, because if we do not show up for each other, the word community doesn't mean anything. This issue must remind us that our role here isn't just academic. We are tasked with building and healing a community, not dividing it. Every student in this district and across the state deserves to be met with understanding, patience, and care. So let's continue showing up when it's uncomfortable, when it's quiet, and when it matters most. Thank you for your attention. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any board members with comments? Trustee Fishman.
Sorry, I don't know, it's just my day, I guess. I just wanted to say a couple things that I did go see Hamlet Hamlet the comedy, and it was clever and smart, and I laughed the whole time, and it was wonderful. I'll skip the other things that have already been mentioned. I did want to make a shout out to the written reports. That I appreciate them, I read them. I loved reading about how many laptops are going out, the graph that was included, the books that are borrowed by students. It was really, really excellent, and the need for more, I got that as well. I have no idea what a hotspot loan is, but I'm sure by the time I leave today, someone will tell me. And in regard to the ATL, it's exciting that students are getting trained and for the 21st century, although I'm a little worried about the autonomous vehicles, but maybe by the time my children take away my license in 30, 40 years, I will appreciate the autonomous vehicles. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the written reports, that they are important and I appreciate them.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Trustee Battenfeld.
No, since people are giving shout outs, I went to the orchestra concert on Friday night, and it was also wonderful. And I highly recommend all the music concerts as a way of just seeing our wonderful students in action. It's also a great way to de-stress and just enjoy our student performances.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other board member comments, we'll move on to item B8, reports, starting with the Academic Senate report with President John Stover.
Good evening, everyone. Superintendent Garcia, Board President Shaban, trustees, and members of the SRJC community. What I wrote was, I wish I could be with you today in Petaluma for this report. And as the fates have it, we are together. I also want to say that I feel your pain around having to cancel a meeting due to Brown Act posting requirements. And I'm hoping that the changes that Dr. Garcia mentioned also support us on the Senate, that we never have to be in that situation again. And to anybody who's watching on Zoom, I apologize for the inconvenience, and I look forward to seeing everybody back at the Senate on Wednesday, October 29th, which fortunately we had planned as a 5th
Wednesday meeting way before any of this happened. So on to the regular update. So Senate-related actions from September 17th included the support for sending 2 additional faculty members with me to the ASCCC Fall Plenary in November. And Senators Kay Fortunati and Jay Bush are joining me in San Diego. I'm very excited about that. And I also recently attended the Area B meeting, which was at the College of Alameda. And I was happy to see Senators Persons and Nieto in attendance via Zoom. At that meeting, a local resolution we passed was forwarded, and today I learned was adopted for statewide debate. And that statewide resolution is asking the ASCCC to take action to formally advocate for attendance flexibility in light of deportation threats to our students. So I'm grateful to be of service both locally and at the state level, and I'm happy that we have an opportunity for SRJC to contribute to this important work. On October 1st, we passed along to the district recommendations for online teaching certification, and we adopted changes to our bylaws and our associate areas of representation as supported by a constitutional ballot initiative that was supported by a majority of faculty who voted. We also passed recommendations for professional development resources and opportunities concerning generative artificial intelligence, which I have also forwarded to our Academic Senate Faculty Development Subcommittee, which will start meeting in November. At our next meeting, we will take up the discussion again of AP 7120A, which is contract faculty hiring procedures. And we do have an updated district perspective that we're considering in relation to our Senate discussions to date. I'll just remind everyone that this procedure is per Title V, is a mutual agreement between the district and the Senate, and that is exactly the work that we are engaged in now and have never been before. So this is where we need to be, and this is the work. I'm also working with our research office, and we are running focus groups in support of academic interest areas, first for students and subsequently for faculty in November to get their feedback on academic interest areas. And I'm very grateful to everybody who is contributing to that work, including Blair Underwood and Dr. Jeremy Smotherman. So thank you. I also want to mention that I am attending the, let me get the acronym right, the CCCAOE, the California Community College Association for Occupational Education Conference this week. And I'm very grateful to my friend and colleague, Brad Davis, whose office is supporting me to go to this conference, to engage in this work and to bring this perspective back to senators. So thank you again, Brad, for this opportunity. I'm grateful to be of service. I'm grateful to be in community with all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the classified Senate report with President Linda Jay via Zoom, I believe. So Linda, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hi, good evening, President Shaban, Board of Trustees, Dr. Garcia, and college community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Classified Senate via Zoom this evening. I'd like to congratulate Fifi Fitway as October's Employee of the Month. Fifi has proved to be a dedicated and positive presence, admired for her professionalism, warmth, and commitment to creating welcoming spaces for students and colleagues alike. We are grateful for her hard work, her kindness, and the pride she brings to her role. Congratulations, Fifi, and thank you for all that you do for our SRJC community. The Classified Senate is happy to report that in partnership with SCIU, we have completed our shared governance committee assignments. Thank you to Maria Banahovitz for her hard work in coordinating those committee requests and assignments, and thank you, Sandy Segala, for your leadership and camaraderie in this process. Committee members have been contacted and committees are beginning to meet under the new participatory governance structure. Employees are eager to engage, and we look forward to seeing the good work they do in the year ahead. The Participatory Governance Work Group held our new committee chair training for management team members, presenting useful information to help with committee governance and running effective meetings. Under the new structure, I truly believe the new process has been more transparent and equitable. In addition, this streamlined process will benefit us greatly in the future when we do it all over again each year. I'd like to remind everybody to check out the new Participatory Governance website. It has a wealth of information on our various committees and the new structure. The Senate is very excited to continue representing classified professionals under this new structure, working alongside our fellow classified faculty and management and student colleagues. This month, the Classified Senate is inviting the entire JC community to participate in our Halloween event on Thursday, October 30th. Participating departments are encouraged to decorate their office space, cubicle, door, or area, and welcome colleagues to trick or treat at their locations, not only for treats, but information about their departments and the good work that they do. The email invitation to departments to participate in this event has been extended through this Friday, and the list of participating departments will be emailed out next week. We believe this will be a super fun way to connect with each other, learn more about the efforts happening across our campus in our amazing departments, while strengthening our sense of inclusion and community. Also, our biggest fundraiser of the year will begin this month with our annual Winter Seas Candy fundraiser. Ordering is open now and shipping will begin on November 11th. The order deadline for this fundraiser will be December 5th, 2025. I'll be emailing the fundraiser information to the community this week. And once again, we are ever so grateful for the orders placed by our chocolate-loving friends each year. This is our biggest fundraiser, and we are very grateful for all of the support you give us. Lastly, I'd like to just give a huge shout out and huge thank you to our information technology team for all of your hard work. You are all amazing, and we are so grateful for the work you do. As always, thank you all for your time and support, and have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the SGA report with SGA President William Garcia.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Garcia, President Shaban, and members of the board. During my report, I would like to use this time to share a letter written and signed by the Student Government Assembly and students of Santa Rosa Junior College. This letter was approved by unanimous decision of the Student Government Assembly and expresses our united position in defense of student representation in faculty hiring process, and I will deliver it at the next Academic Senate meeting. Before I read the letter, I also want to provide a brief update. The shared governance committees began meeting in the first week of October, and I want to sincerely thank our students for stepping up. Almost all student positions have been filled. We are also working toward language justice. As a campus with a big Spanish-speaking student population, we believe that translation is not an option. It is a basic need. Everything we do must reflect the students we serve, and language access is a key part of that. Letter in defense of student representation in faculty hiring committees. In our capacity as the elected representatives of the Student Government Assembly at Santa Rosa Junior College, we express our strong opposition to any attempt to exclude students from faculty hiring committees, particularly under the framework of AP 7120A, recruitment, and hiring contract faculty. Our institution has historically been characterized by promoting inclusion, equity, and the active participation of all voices that make up our community. Students are the very reason this college exists, and therefore it is inconceivable to carry out a faculty hiring process without the participation of those who directly experience instruction and work every day with the faculty who are hired. The hiring of faculty is not merely an administrative matter. It is a critical decision that directly impacts educational quality, the classroom environment, and the trust we place in this institution. Faculty are not only instructors, but also mentors, guides, and facilitators of our academic and personal growth. For this reason, the student perspective is essential to ensure that hiring decisions genuinely reflect the needs of the student body. Also, my Diego is going to help me to read the next one.
Excluding students from this process reduces us to passive recipients of decisions made without our participation. This undermines the philosophy of shared governance that the Santa Rosa Junior College upholds, a principle in which administration, faculty, staff, and students must collaborate in shaping the direction of the institution. Furthermore, the student voice provides complementary perspectives that enriches decision-making. Direct classroom experience, we are the ones who directly experience the real impact of faculty quality on our learning. Diversity of needs, the student body represents a wide range of backgrounds, cultures, and academic pathways that must be considered in faculty selection. Transparency and institutional trust, including students in committees, strengthens the legitimacy of hiring processes and fosters a greater sense of community. For these reasons, we demand that that the administration ensure the formal and permanent student representation in faculty hiring processes, as established in AP 7120A, recruitment and hiring contract faculty, guaranteeing that our voice is neither ignored nor minimized. This inclusion should not be seen as favor granted to students, but rather as an inherent right and a principle of participatory justice that strengthens the entire academic community. We are convinced that an institution that listens to its students is a stronger, fairer institution, better prepared to face the challenges of both the present and the future. Sincerely, the entirety of the Student Government Assembly by unanimous signed vote, and the students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have our All Faculty Association update with AFA President Ann Donegan. I believe via Zoom.
I am on Zoom.
I see you. Please go ahead.
Okay, let me just find my report. Here it is. Okay. President Shaban, President Garcia, board members and college community. My first comment tonight is to say that AFA stands strongly with SEIU in their efforts to reach a fair and equitable agreement about healthcare with the district. We look forward to meeting with SEIU and district representatives in the next few weeks to work on a collective agreement about healthcare costs for the next fiscal year that are fair and equitable. I would also like to address the robust public comments over the past few months made by our students at these board meetings. AFA supports free speech and supports these students expressing their concerns. But I want to say that this body has not always been a place that has welcomed free speech. A few years ago, student trustee Delashay Carmona Benson and SGA rep Jimmy Brock were regularly shut down for making a statement about two deans because the board told them they couldn't discuss employees by name during public comments. This greatly frustrated Delashay and Jimmy, and this led to them using some foul language at board meetings, and this led to the district to begin punitive proceedings. A few months later, an investigation about a different dean was reported in the Press Democrat. Many of the women who made these troubling allegations about this dean were considering speaking to this very board, but they chose not to speak after, quote, seeing how the students were treated at the board meeting. I am very glad that now students are able to speak at the board, but I do want to point out when students and employees were trying to speak about alleged bad behavior by a dean or deans, they were shut down. I also want to talk a bit more about academic freedom. Last month, I read a quote from our Article 9, again, the contract between the district and AFA, and the quote was by Justice William Brennan, "Our nation is deeply committed to safeguarding academic freedom, which is of transcendent value to all of us, and not merely to the teachers concerned. That freedom is therefore a special concern of the First Amendment, which does not tolerate laws that cast a pall of orthodoxy over the classroom." Many of my faculty colleagues have reached out to AFA and are very nervous about the current political climate in this country. Many of us who teach about race, immigration, religion, gender, identity, evolution, and other topics that are considered controversial are concerned that students or outside groups who disagree with our approach to these topics may target us. AFA has heard from a number of our members about groups like the Professor Watch List, which is affiliated with Turning Point USA, that names professors who teach things that this group disagree with. And in some situations, professors have lost their jobs. Isaac Kamola of the American Association of the University Professors Center for the Defense of Academic Freedom states, "If you make statements that right-wing politicians don't like, then you can lose your job, period." That is chilling. I've already talked to President Garcia about this topic, and I believe that she is in support of this, and I appreciate that. But the faculty calls on the district to issue a statement in support of academic freedom. Without the rights of faculty to speak, research, and pursue diverse ideas, equity is not possible. Academic freedom allows faculty to academically challenge racist and sexist ideologies and structures in the context of their expertise. Academic freedom allows students to be introduced to a diverse range of ideas that often contrast and compete with more established approaches and invites them to develop an independent critical judgment. Finally, in regards to the bond feasibility study, I am a bit stunned, but not overly surprised. And I'm just winging this here. I was not prepared for this last paragraph. Our school's relationship with our county has changed dramatically over the last 10 years, and it hasn't all been good. People feel less connected to a college if they're taking primarily online classes. And eliminating SRT, the Santa Rosa Repertory Theater, Day Under the Oaks, and closing the planetarium have consequences. All of these things is what made generations of people who live in Sonoma County feel connected to our wonderful college. I hope we can improve this relationship with our neighbors to get the fiscal support we need to support a school that we all love. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's see, there's no SEIU report today, so that will bring us to the information agenda. As was noted earlier, item C1 is monthly district board briefs. Item C2 is industrial and trade technology department, and C3 is on SRJC libraries. For those of you who haven't checked it out, they're great informational items, and really encourage you to look at that and all the great work that's being done in those departments. If there's any public comment on any of those items, C1, 2, or 3, I'll take that now. Seeing none in the room, is there any online? Seeing none online, then we will move to board members wishing to speak on them. Seeing none, we will move on to item C4, which is going to be on career education. And we're going to have Dean Brad Davis presenting. Take it away.
Good evening. Hello, President Shaban, board members, Dr. Garcia. I'm Brad Davis, and I was still there on October 14th as well, so I didn't update the date. I apologize. But I'm here to talk to you about career education, and we wanted to come up with what to call this, and we didn't want to call it just career education, and we looked at our shirts and said, there it is, experience is everything. And that's really what career education is about. So I wanted to start there, and I want to also mention with the board feasibility report with 78% of the community just really supporting career education, that was definitely music to my ears too. It's hard to talk about a huge topic like this in just 8 minutes, so I'm going to do a very broad review, kind of focus on a couple of things. Next month, you're going to get a written report that goes more into depth into career education as a whole. But what are the career education programs? These are the top levels. This is not everything. For example, business has at least 10 other areas below it, but these are the top levels of what we're offering. And who are we offering it to? Well, these are our students, enrollments for 24, 25. If you're basically looking at this, I'm just going to break it down of 1 in 3 students are career education students at SRJC. And it could be even higher. Some students take transfer level classes that are also career education courses. So this is a lot of students. 1 in 3 of our students are here for career education. And I think that shows in the board feasibility report too. What makes career education really effective for us is the industry connection. And I'm going to focus on 3 things: the BACCC, in-demand jobs, and advisory committees. And I'll start there. What also we have, what a lot of people don't know about, is we have an apprenticeship program here on campus. We have 3 different apprenticeships. We have the roofers, we have the electricians, we have the plumbers. And I will tell you, the plumbers in particular, we have, some of you remember Abe Farkas, our curriculum dean at the time. He liked to collect data, and the data he had was we've partnered with the plumbers since 1947. They've been our partners since then, and it's huge. And if you ever had a chance to go to their facility, it's just incredible. So what also is part of career education are work experience and internships. And this is specifically within my area. So I did choose this one to do and call out. But the student impact, over 1,000 students enrolled annually to gain firsthand experience at their job. For example, fall 25, we had 500 plus students enrolled with 252 participating businesses. But I will want to call out right here the additional outreach and expansion to 150 high school dual enrolled students. And I was sharing this with Dr. Garcia in the cabinet. 100 of those students are from Annalee High School alone. That's untapped with a whole bunch of other high schools that, for those of you who know Kim Kinahan, she has a lot of energy to go out there and do this work along with Carolina and Vanessa. But what's also important for our career education courses are the industry advisory committees. And you guys see this report that comes before you every time with the membership. But I also think, again, going back to that board feasibility, with 78% of the community supporting career education, it really does show in our advisory committees too. Our advisory committees are made up of industry professionals in the community that advise us. So they come to our department meeting or the advisory committee, and we sit back and say, so tell us what you need from our students. When they graduate with this certificate, what do they need to know to be able to work and do the practice of what you require for them in your field? It's extremely valuable. Some of these folks meet twice a year. The rule to get funding is once a year, but again, these people are really, really important to us. I also mentioned the BACCC. We are a member of the Bay Area Community College Consortia. There's 28 colleges. We're the one that's the furthest north in the Bay Area region. The purpose basically aligns us with what students are looking for, what's in this area, specifically the Bay Area. And I'm just highlighting the top 6 areas that are identified as high need, top interest areas for career education. A lot of the questions we get are, so how do you get funding for this stuff? There's 2 main areas. I'm going to highlight them in a little bit, but Perkins is one that's a federal funding that we get from the Fed. And then the state funding is Strong Workforce. You may have heard of that one. That is the largest statewide initiative for career education funding in this country by far. We're not even talking even close. Governor Newsom, and before that, Jerry Brown, was really supportive of career education and set aside monies to help because it costs a lot to teach career education classes. Talk to Dean Josh Adams, how much stuff they use at Public Safety Training Center, how much wood, metal, weird stuff that they just go through. And it's just part of the cost of creating career education. So the grant funding allocations, we put this information up for you. The Perkins, just shy of 700,000, but the real workhorse here is Strong Workforce by far. Rachel, who's our director of CE grants, wanted me to mention that it is going down a little bit. It did go down a little bit from the Fed or from the state. There was an initiative about nursing and regional practices. They dumped some money into that. So it wasn't that we got less funding because of any numbers. It was just a regional cause. The Perkins Spotlight, this is one, these are quotes from the students that are in this program. This is applied photography. This is Dean Carey Lowen's area. We hired professional photographers to come in, meet with these students one-on-one, go through their portfolio, give comments, and just work with these folks. And you can see they were super happy to have this help. And it was really valuable for us to see as well. Strong Workforce Spotlight. We have the EMC program in Roseland, the horticulture shown farm at Public Safety Training Center. I was texting Ken Sebastiani this morning going, where is that truck? We need it. He said, it's in Sacramento still, it's getting registered and getting some warranty work done. But when it comes back, I'll give you a chance to drive it. And I said, I don't think VP Jolly would like that very much. But he did offer that if anybody on the board would like to take a ride in it, he'll make that happen too. Petaluma Spotlight, of course, because we're here. I did not include the construction training center. That is going to be in the written report. That's a lot of what you guys will see most of the time when we talk about Petaluma, but there are other things we have invested here as well. Vet Tech, Pilates, Digital Studio, so I didn't want to leave those out. I did want to mention this. This has been a Fall Forward Career Series this month. Our team, and I'm going to highlight Megan Rhodes and Ann Mansfield, our two job developers, have put together this incredible, just month-long come learn resumes, come learn cover letters, and it's going to culminate ultimately to the internship career fair, which is Wednesday, October 29th from 11 to 1:30 in the Bertolini Student Center. I invite you all to attend. It should be a lot of fun. The other thing I was going to mention before I get to the questions is you saw VP Jolly talk about the Bertolini Career Center. It is almost done. We're going to send an invite out for the holidays to come do an open house with us and Disability Resources, just to kind of welcome you to the center, show you what we've got. We're not trying to hide it from you. We just want to make sure that it's all done and complete by the time you guys get to go see it. And with that, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's see, board members with questions or comments. All right, well, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you
very much. Yeah, very informative report. That brings us to item C5, board nominating committee appointments. I am appointing trustees Bailey, Battenfeld, and Fishman to the board nominating committee with the charge to come back at our November meeting with recommendations for this board's 2026 officer positions. Appreciate their service on that committee. That brings us to the consent agenda. That's items D1 to D5 with approval is item D6. Do I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda? Any public comment in the room or online? Seeing none, we will go to student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The consent agenda is approved. And that takes us to the most action-packed part of our meeting, the action agenda. That's items E1 through E11. So hold on to your hats. Starting with E1, personnel actions. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Any board members with comments or members of the public with comments here or online? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The ayes have it. Item E2, August 16th, 2025 to September 19th, 2025 warrants. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board member comments or members of the public wishing to comment? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed and abstain? One abstention. The warrants are approved. Item E3, the instructor load report for summer 2025 and fall 2025. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members with comments or members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? One abstention. The ayes have it. Item E4, this is the reopeners with CFT for 2025, 2026 negotiations. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members with comments or any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? That measure is approved. Item E5, approval of employment contract amendment for the superintendent president. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members wishing to comment on this item? I will just say I'm very glad to be voting on this. SRJC has a incredible track record of longevity in our executives, and I am feeling Dr. Garcia is on her way to setting a new record. Just another 20 years to go. But we're happy to get another 3-year term in there. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item in the room or online? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstains? The ayes have it. Item E6, second reading of board policies 2430, 2431, 2432, 2730, and 2750. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members wishing to speak on this item? Any public comment in the room or online? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? That measure is approved as well. Next, item E7, resolution 13-25, changes to the adopted budget. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members wishing to comment on this item or members of the public? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Kaylani.
Student trustee Clark,
Aye.
trustee Bailey, trustee Battenfeld, trustee Bricker, trustee Fishman, trustee Martinez, trustee Valdovinos, trustee Shaban.
Aye. All right, that measure is approved. Next up, item E8, resolution 14-25, change order number 1 for Lunabis Hall automotive lift replacement. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members wishing to speak on this item or members of the public with public comment here in the room or online? Seeing none, this is also a roll call vote. Kaylani, please call the roll.
Student trustee Clark,
Aye.
trustee Bailey, trustee Battenfeld, trustee Bricker, trustee Fishman, trustee Martinez, trustee Valdovinos, trustee Shaban.
Aye. All right, that brings us to item E9, resolution 15-25, change order number 3 for the Bertolini Student Center Career Services. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members with comments or members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, that's a roll call vote. Kaylani, please call the roll.
Student trustee Clark,
Aye.
trustee Bailey, trustee Battenfeld, trustee Bricker, trustee Fishman, trustee Martinez, trustee Valdovinos, Trustee Shaban.
Aye. Next up, item E10, resolution 16-25, change order number 12 for Towser Gymnasium modernization. Do I have a motion and a second? Any board members wishing to speak or members of the public with comment? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Kehlani, please call the roll.
Student trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Bailey. Trustee Battenfeld. Trustee Bricker. Trustee Fishman. Trustee Martinez. Trustee Valdovinos. Trustee Shaban.
Aye. And that brings us to item E11, grants, new and renewals, resolution 17-25 and 18-25. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Any board members with comments or members of the public wishing to speak on this item here in the room or online? Seeing none, Kehlani, please call the roll.
Student trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Bailey. Trustee Battenfeld. Trustee Bricker. Trustee Fishman. Trustee Martinez. Trustee Valdovinos. Trustee Shaban.
Aye. Want to thank everyone for being here with us on this surprise late Monday meeting that, you know, most of you were here on last Tuesday, so really appreciate you coming out. I appreciate the staff setting up with that. This meeting of the Sonoma County Junior College District Board of Trustees is adjourned.